Hello, students, and welcome to week number 7 of Congregational Renewal and Dynamics of Change. And boy, we're almost at the finish line. This will be a pretty short video, but we're continuing on resource managing transitions. This week, you'll look at kind of helping people through the neutral zone and launching to new beginnings and what transition, development, and renewal actually looks like. And also he deals with how to deal with non-stop change. That's just reality of our day, as we talked about last week. The other thing we're going to talk about this week, or you're going to read, and that is because managing transitions is all about people, the diffusion of innovation, understanding the diffusion of innovation. The researcher kind of developed 4 quadrants of how, what kind of people are in change. You have the early adopters. Early adopters, by the way, early adopters adopt anything. As soon as you say it, they're all in. And we have a tendency to love that crowd, those of us who love change. But we can misdiagnose the acceptance of the change by listening to early adopters. Because reality is, whatever you say, they're going to adopt. If it's change, they're all into change. And but sometimes we put them on a pedestal, or we make them be the reason for the change, or we misinterpret favorability of change based on the early adopters. I always say, a great place to start is the early majority. And by the way, this is the propensity of adoption scale, propensity of resistance scale, if you would. How do people adopt change? And there are categories, there are people, and you probably, as I'm saying, each of these categories, you can name people in them. Again, the early adopters, the early majority, once they've come to a place where they've heard the vision, where they can see the why, then they begin to adopt, but they're a little resistant at first. And I always say, let's aim for early and late majority adopters. That's a good way to really bring everybody in, because the early adopters, you even won them before you even announced the change. The early majority, though, they're going to really, they're going to adopt, and they're going to be pretty early in the process, but they need to hear the what to for, if you will. They need to find out why we're doing this. And then the late majority, same thing. They're a little bit later. They want a little bit more detail, and they have a more tendency to resist at first, and you got to win them. You got to aim for them, the late majority, if you will. And then the laggers we have with us always. They're never going to adopt. They're never going to be okay. You could probably name some of those in your organization. Reminds me of a lady who came up to a pastor on the pastor's very first Sunday, and she said, "I was here before you got here, and I'll be here while you're here, and I'll be here when you leave. So whatever you're thinking about changing, I'll be here to make sure that you don't do it," or whatever. Laggers they're going to be critical no matter what. And, what I say to people who can acknowledge laggers, and it's important that we kind of know who they are, I say love laggers. I mean, Jesus didn't tell us to love the people that are easy to love. Some people require a little bit extra grace, and love them and try to understand them. Try to, just be kind and empathetic towards them, but don't allow them to keep you from the change. Oftentimes the laggers are the people with the money. And so be careful that we don't isolate them and criticize them. They will probably never adopt your change, but they're not going to leave either. They're going to stay with you, and they're going to keep giving, and but they'll try to control with their money too. So that's kind of the diffusion of innovation. How do people adopt change? Remember that it's not the change that people struggle with, it's the transition. And transition, it's because of the emotions of the transition. So look forward to seeing you online this week. God bless as we move into week number 7. God bless.